Great news, your home loan approval has come through.
Trust a member of the New Zealand Mortgage Brokers Association to open the door to your next home. NZMBA, helping you climb the property ladder.
Tonight, a divorcing couple tries to protect their property climbing scheme from crumbling like their marriage. And a builder risks big to create his nest egg. With tips from millionaire investor and property consultant Ollie Newland.
I've been in the property game a long time. I've made a lot of money and I've lost a bit too, but it's the best way in the long run.
Sue and Dean have spent over 10 years climbing the property ladder, and they now own this much-loved beach patch and this beautiful brand new modern home. But unfortunately, they have to sell them.
Well, we're selling because Dean and I are separating. We've only been here 12 months. Other than that, we wouldn't be selling.
Although they're parting, Sue and Dean want to avoid slipping too far back down the property ladder when they come to divide everything in half. So their property climbing scheme is simply to work together amicably to ensure they get the best possible price for their two major assets, so they'll each come out with enough to stay on the property ladder.
I'm very conscious about making sure I'm not out of the property market for too long as well, because prices continue to move and the amount of money that you've got remains the same if it's just sitting in a bank.
When we halve our capital, we will still both have enough of an investment to be able to do something else with.
That's if they get a top price for their property. And to do that, they need to wait for the right buyer and avoid selling under pressure. But unfortunately, Dean's plans mean they need to sell sooner rather than later.
One of my work colleagues, they've taken over the management of a winery in Umbria, and they offered for me to come and stay and work for them on the winery.
So what are we going to do?
Dean's great opportunity means he leaves for Italy in a few weeks, and he and Sue need to sell before he goes. So with the pressure on, they're cooperating to get the best price possible through an auction.
I think the auction process is, because with Dean going overseas, we've got a limited time frame, and this way it forces the issue, and we know that it's all going to happen next Wednesday.
The 3 Ds that can make property investment nasty come from death, divorce and the bank.
While they're cooperating unemotionally over the auction marketing, they're not unemotional about selling. This is not just a house. It's their dream home that they designed specifically for their couple's lifestyle.
And this is very much my room with the surround sound system and stereo and rugby and sports and all that sort of stuff. So spend quite a lot of time in here, more than I should probably.
Of an evening, Dean can go into the lounge and close it off. I can listen to CDs and curl up on the couch and flick through mags and have a glass of wine or something, because I generally don't watch much TV. I like to just chill.
Dean and Sue only need one person to love it as much as they do. Now their most important mutual decision is what reserve to set for its sale at auction. They've already turned down a pre-auction offer of $380,000.
Well, I reckon we should go for $390.
Got to be a little careful we don't set it too high, because apparently all of the bidding will happen once it goes on the market, which is once it exceeds the reserve. So we've got to be careful that if we set it too high, that it does actually get to the reserve price before people get knocked out of the bidding.
So shall we make it $385?
I think so.
Okay, $385, yep, happy with that.
That's just $5,000 above the offer they turned down. But Sue and Dean hope the auction will push the price on their prized house up even further.
If we can get 4 or 5 people bidding after $385, then we might get closer to $400, which would be good.
I've never been to a house auction before, and it is going to be really sad, but I hope that I just get excited about it, and then I'll get sad afterwards.
Yeah, it'd certainly be good to get a good price, because obviously with us going our separate ways, we need as much money as we can to do whatever we plan to do in the future.
The twin pressures of divorce and the bank can create huge problems for people, because very often when you cut something in half, you end up with nothing.
Further north in Papatoetoe, Frank has spent his life building houses, but to help other property climbers get richer. He now plans to create a nest egg for his own family through property.
At the end of the day, you've got to look after yourself when you retire.
So we've got to get our finances sorted out before that day comes. So that's the only reason, really, just make sure we're well off by the time we finish working.
Frank plans to climb the property ladder by buying do-ups on very large sections that he can improve in two ways. First, he does up the existing house for profit. Next, he also subdivides the land and builds another house to sell.
It's not a great amount of money, but it's better than just being labour only or being a builder for somebody else. Yeah.
It's hundreds of thousands of dollars better if Frank's scheme goes to plan. To get started, Frank and Jan have sold their mortgage-free family home and bought this smaller house to live in on a large subdividable section. Frank's already subdivided the land and started building 2 more houses here. He'll soon have 3 houses where once there was 1.
It's been in my mind for many years, and we've all got to start somewhere, you know, so I've now got the finances to start this off.
Frank paid $240,000 for the property. He's spending another $400,000 to do up the existing house for him and Jan and subdivide and build 2 more.
At the moment, this 3-bedroom's on the market for $279, I think it is, and the 2-bedroom on the market at $259.
On those figures, Frank will get a mortgage-free home again and an extra $100,000 in the bank for his next investment. Not bad for 5 months' work.
Good on Frank. I admire his skill and his abilities. He's especially lucky that he can use his own labour and his own skills. He can build wholesale. The rest of us have to build retail. Good on him.
It's exactly what all the non-builder property climbers have been paying Frank to do for them for years. So with big profits to be had, what can go wrong? Well, Frank and Jan have invested their life savings here, and that mortgage has to be paid out of their investment because Frank works full-time on the development. And Frank has got so excited about his property climbing scheme, he's just landed himself another big debt on top of that. He's borrowed the lot to buy his next do-up before his first project is sold.
Whoops, can I take that back again? Too much enthusiasm can be dangerous. Let's hope the market stays strong for him.
The day he brought me here, he said, you've got to come and have a look at this and see what you think. I must admit, my heart dropped down to my boots. I thought, my God, what is this? And then he opened the door and showed me through, and I thought, oh, hell.
We're just making it look like it's livable and then get a few people in to rent the place out. Yeah.
A mission in itself, believe me.
And you can't make any remarks on the paint on the carpet here. That's my son, Mark. He decided to
Even
waltz.
though Mark did say it was his father.
Yeah.
But never mind. We won't worry about things like that.
No.
The huge section his do-up sits on does follow Frank's rule to buy subdividable land.
Here we've got enough room for 2 3-bedroom houses. We'll subdivide the property, and you'll always end up getting your money back on the front unit or the front house. And then,
That's a saying.
Yeah.
You always end up getting your money back.
Yeah.
But right now, this house is a long way off from getting money back in rent. The backyard here can't be subdivided until Frank sells something to pay for it. And meanwhile, there are 2 mortgages on 2 sites with no money coming in. What if one of the houses on this site doesn't sell?
We'll be shitting bricks.
We will be shitting bricks. No, we'll probably be a little bit worried, I'd say.
Yeah, thinking,
But,
holy shit, what's happened here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't happen. Not with the climate the way it is at the moment. So.
And we've got quality products there, so.
I think we need a sale, at least one sale at West Street before we can get into here.
So with the interiors of one house at Site 1 in West Street complete, Frank calls in his agent to conduct open homes while he works on finishing the grounds outside. Prospective buyers are not rushing the property, but finally one couple turns up. None of the trickle of sightseers here today are serious purchasers. And every day these are not sold, Frank is forking out those daunting weekly mortgage payments across both properties.
He's put himself under pressure. You don't want to put yourself under pressure. If you do that, you'll start losing money because you'll start selling too cheaply.
Coming up.
It's another final step in us separating. That's the other bit that's hard to deal with as well.
Sergio's. Men's clothing, footwear and formal hire.
Now, you have a lovely first day back. Yeehaw!
It's a back-to-school celebration at Pack and Save, where we buy big so you save big.
In England, I was shocked by the crap that we fed our kids. I wouldn't feed that to my dog. I would feed it to my dog.
So Jamie's travelling to the poorest part of Italy to see what's on the school canteen menu.
It smells fantastic in here. Pasta and olive oil here have to be organic, and that's law. Interesting. You're not allowed to fry anything in schools.
Jamie's Great Italian Escape, Monday on 1.
Frank and Jan have to pay the mortgage each week on this site, but they can't get a bank loan to progress their property scheme to subdivide and build here until one of the houses on their first project sells.
Hard on the fence. Yep, that's fine.
But that isn't stopping Frank from spending more money he doesn't yet have, and he doesn't think he's crazy.
Today we bought lot 7 here, and yeah, we're the lucky owners of that site. Yeah. I figured, yeah, why not get involved in big
elite
yeah,
curry.
300 square metre houses.
Buying a section someone else has already subdivided is outside Frank's property climbing scheme. And where is the money coming from to pay to build a luxury house?
We don't have to pay the full amount until such time that we have title. And fingers crossed, it'll be a little way away before we start doing any building.
With the extra pressure of settling soon on this new section, Frank's got the house on their second site to a rentable state. And a tenant is moving in to help cover those mortgage payments.
Yeah, it's good to get people in there and finally get a bit of a return.
But the subdivision of this site, which will make some profit, is still on hold until Frank gets an offer on site 1. So right now, any offer Chris, the real estate agent, has for them is welcome.
Chris has brought me a solid offer. It was on the market at $275 and it got sold at $272. So, yeah, that's what, got to be happy with that.
Frank's $60,000 above break-even point, and he's confident enough the next house will sell well soon. So now it's all go at site number 2 to build house 3 and 4, and Frank's property climbing scheme looks like it's back on track. Over in Hamilton, Sue and Dean's marital home will hopefully get a great price at auction tomorrow, so they don't fall off the property ladder when they separate and their assets are suddenly halved. Sue wants to use her share to buy an apartment that's also a wise investment.
Is now the right time to be buying somewhere? Because I want to move up to Auckland.
It's always the right time to buy a property as far as investing goes. But there's one time when you don't do that, and that time is when you're under pressure.
Sue's under pressure to get her house sold before she looks for a good apartment investment in Auckland. And finding one could be a challenge. These 2-bedroom apartments in a top location on the domain that developers like Alistair Brown builds for good investment are increasing in value.
This is an excellent investment, or certainly has been for the purchasers.
This apartment has doubled its value in just 5 years, so is a great investment. But not for Sue. Its price tag has soared to $1 million. Sue will be able to afford an apartment in one of these high-rise blocks in the prime central city location that Alistair's company also builds.
This apartment will probably cost you about $250,000 to $280,000, and it will generally rent for between, depending on what floor, between $380 and $450 a week.
Trouble is, these are too small and too crowded for Sue. Sue will have more cash for a better buy if she and Dean can sell their beach batch as well as their house. But they've had that on the market for a few months now, and so far their agent hasn't had one nibble.
Quite frankly, looking at sales over the last 2 months, in Wheretoa there's been 3 sales in the town in 2 months.
The news isn't all bad though as far as their property climbing aspirations go.
The median price in Wheretoa has risen a staggering 77% this last year. That's huge. You look at your own investment here. You guys bought this property, 4 years ago? You paid 56 or 57,000 or something for it. I would suggest your land value is probably somewhere in that $240,000, $250,000 bracket. Properties like yours will sell, no doubt.
What do you think? Should we investigate subdividing?
If you thought you just wanted to get as much as you possibly could out of the property, yeah, subdividing may be an option.
What sort of time span does it take?
If you started the subdivision process immediately, you're likely to have titles here in 4 months, 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
It takes about that sort of...
It's quite a slow process then.
5 months is too long for Dean, who heads to Italy next week. So Sue and Dean's need to go their separate ways may get in the way of the best property climbing strategy.
Must have bought it right time, eh?
Well, obviously we did, but makes you wonder whether we should sell.
Yeah, it does indeed. Yeah, you need the money to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we're able to get a capital gain of even 25% per annum,
Yeah.
it's better than sitting in the bank, or really depends what property market in Auckland does for you though.
Yeah.
If you end up buying up there.
And in some ways it's good to just, you know, break the ties and move on. But...
Once you get out of this sort of market, you won't be able to get back in again.
no. So...
Not individually anyway.
no, I think we'll hold out and get a good price.
Yeah.
Even if it takes longer.
Yeah, even if it means you get another summer out of it.
Sue and Dean should hold out for a good price on that batch. It's worth a lot of money. They should not be selling it under any sort of pressure. That batch is a valuable asset, and they should cash in and get the most they can for it.
Sue and Dean will hold out for a good deal, but that means if Sue's to afford her apartment in Auckland, they'll need to get a great price for their family home at auction today. And last night they increased their reserve on the property.
I was conscious of the fact that if we, say, come up with a reserve of 385 and somebody bid at 386, then if the bidding stopped there, then basically it was sold. So that's why we've decided on 395, so at least we can then negotiate with the highest bidder if it doesn't reach the reserve.
It's hard all round for Sue and Dean. Today they say goodbye to their life together as well as their home.
It's also a certain amount of sadness as well because...
It's another final step in us separating. That's the other bit that's hard to deal with as well. So, yeah, we've got two things happening today, really.
In the next few minutes, they'll know just how far down the property ladder their broken relationship is taking them.
At 340, starting your way. $20,000 is the bid that I'm looking for, ladies and gentlemen. 340,000. First call then. Second call at 340. The third and the final call at $340,000 now.
This auction might be over before it started, and they're $55,000 under their reserve. Coming up.
Bit of a come down, really.
Yeah.
But I just...
Anticlimax.
Yeah.
The flash car, the missing money.
Somebody's done a Harold Houdini and disappeared with it.
And the search for answers. And this man's mournful cry.
And now the debt collectors have been set upon us.
Fair go, 7:30 Wednesday on 1.
With both their houses on the market, Sue and Dean are still hoping to each stay separately on the property ladder when they part and divide their assets between them. But no one seems keen to buy their house at anywhere near their $395,000 reserve.
At $360,000, looking for 70 if you will. At 360. That's the bid you got to beat. Second call at $360,000. The third and the final call, you all done, finished, and out 70 I have. Jim, I cannot sell at $370,000. Can you give me 390? 380, $380,000. Thank you, Jim.
They've finally reached as high as the offer they turned down at the first open home, but is still $15,000 under their reserve.
380 doesn't buy it, but we're getting closer. 390. $390,000 of that advance from our highest bidder at $390,000. We're talking with the vendors now.
With only one bidder, Sue and Dean now need to decide whether to go on the market at $390 or push for more and risk losing their only buyer.
Further instructions from our vendor. Just bear with us.
They have to sell. They've no choice.
We're on the market. We're definitely selling. The green and black sold by sign goes up for the first call now. At $390,000, you all done, all finished and out for the second call. Third and the final call. All done, all finished. I sell at $390,000. Congratulations.
Do you know you don't have to set a reserve at an auction? You can judge the mood of the market in the room at the time as the auction proceeds, and then decide at the last moment what price you should accept.
Bit of a come down, really.
Yeah.
But I just...
Anticlimax.
Yeah.
A week ago, this is all we were talking about, 390, 400.
Yeah, true. I remember saying that I would have been pleased with 390.
So, a bit of greed crept in over the last 7 days, maybe.
Bloody does. Gets out of control.
There's just the divvying up of the small stuff to do now.
Do you want that?
Yes.
Oh, do you want that one as well?
You can sit close with that. You never even think I cooked.
As they go their separate ways, Sue and Dean walk away with over $50,000 each to invest back on the property ladder. Neither is keen to buy again too quickly, and they've taken their beach batch off the market in the meantime.
We will sell this at some stage in the future anyway, depending on when either Dean or I want to cash up so that we can reinvest in something of our own. But we're just going to keep it indefinitely until we need the money.
Ollie isn't sure that's the wisest move.
Sue and Dean were right not to sell the batch under pressure, but now they're going their separate ways. The time has come for them to sell. While the batch is going up in value, so is everything else going up in value. They need to get their money out so each of them can go their separate ways and make a fresh start.
Frank keeps taking big risks by buying new properties on tick before he's finished developing his others, but so far his risk is paying off. His next 2 houses are well underway at Site 2, and Frank is already making plans for Site 3.
We're just looking at the artist impression on our next project. We probably can't start work there until we finish these houses here, so it'll probably all work out quite nicely.
Except that Frank's got his eye on another deal, another rental.
Right, so this is obviously the lounge. Yeah.
With a house like this one, I mean, we wouldn't have to put any money into it. It's already there, ready to be rented, you know, to other people.
And Frank spotted the large subdividable backyard.
In the backyard, it's got enough room for one house. So I'm thinking, well, maybe at some stage down the line, I might want to build on it. It would be a good investment. I think long term it would be. But everybody takes a gamble in one way or another. And that's what life's all about. Yeah, that's what life's all about, you know?
The rent they get will cover the mortgage, but Frank's got that same problem that he can't top up his bank loans to buy here until he clears some more debt on his other sites. So what's he going to do?
The accountant told me to just buy it under another company name and leave it as a retirement situation.
The 5 main banks aren't the only source of mortgage finance for you. There are specialist finance companies out there who know exactly what you need for that investment property or for that development project. You should go to them. They may charge a high rate of interest, but they get the job done.
Frank's risking is keeping pace with his profit. He's just sold one of the units on Site 2 before they've even finished building.
It's nice to know that they're selling because, let's be honest, I mean, the sooner you sell, the sooner you can get on with the next project.
And Frank can start work on his next prestige house and keep property climbing.
I would have to have had about $400,000 in the bank. And then we bought that West Street property. So it's sort of, that's sort of tripled in 18 months. So that's pretty good. And this is one way of me looking after my retirement fund in the long run. Just one house at a time, 2 or 3 houses a year. And yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with that.
The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. And also the bigger the chance that something can go wrong. Frank was lucky. Not only did he have the skills, he had the market pushing him along. If the market goes sour sometime, you've got to be much more careful.